Once upon a time, in a small village called Adia, lived a gorgeous lady called Onye. Many men admired and desired her, but Onye was a tough woman to please. Even though she had a lovely and benevolent heart, many men have tried to impress her with their wealth, possessions, and collections, but Onye wasn't impressed by what they had. Despite her father being one of the poorest men in Adia village, wealthy merchants and brave hunters from far and wide have journeyed for days to Adia to ask for Onye's hands in marriage, but she rejected all of them. She knew she was gorgeous and curvy, which was why all the men wanted her. Everyone felt Onye was foolish because her parents were impoverished and marrying a wealthy man would automatically change her fortune. Still, Onye refused to be enticed by the wealth, riches, or glory of the men who came for her hands in marriage. She wanted the man who would love and cherish her because of her personality, not her appearance or beauty. She knew that all the men who showed interest in her wanted her because of her exceptional beauty and not because they truly knew the kind of personality she possessed. Her parents were bothered by her reluctance to accept any of the suitors, and they would often pressure her. Why don't you simply get married to one of these wealthy men and change our fortune? Do you want us to die poor? Her father would always tell her. Her mother equally didn't understand her. They all felt she was being too proud. However, no matter how much pressure her parents and friends put on her, Onye refused to compromise on her decisions. She made up her mind that she would rather die single than marry a man who loved her because of her beauty rather than because of her personality. Onye had a very close friend called Nneka. They have been friends since they were little. They were more like sisters who were always together. However, as the different calibers of men continue coming after Onye, while Ineka remained single and unable to find a husband, Ineka started feeling jealous towards Onye. She believed that the reason why she had yet to get married was because of Onye's beauty. So one day, Nneka made a wicked decision. She decided to take away Onye's beauty so all the men would stop coming after Onye and go after her instead. Nneka visited the mighty witch doctor and complained about her plight. She told the witch doctor that Onye was outshining her and she needed to destroy Onye's beauty. So all the men who previously wanted to marry Onye would change their minds. The powerful witch doctor made some incantations and gave Nneka some powder. He instructed her to mix the powder with Onye's cream, and her aim would be achieved. Nneka thanked the powerful witch doctor and went as fast as her legs could to Onye's house. Onye was busy in the kitchen when Nneka got to her, so Nneka sneaked into her room and mixed the powder in her cream, just as the powerful witch doctor had instructed. Then she went out to meet Onye, pretending to be her true friend. That night, before Onye slept, she rubbed the cream on her body before going to bed. but she couldn't recognize herself when she woke up the following day. Her hands and legs were so fat, her cheeks and neck were so chubby, and her belly protruded. Onye became very obese. She was so fat and overweight that she found it difficult to move her body like she used to freely. Onye screamed in shock at the top of her voice, prompting her parents to rush into her room. When they saw her, they couldn't believe their eyes. However, she was their daughter, so they tried to calm her down. After Onye became obese, everything changed for her. The men who always ran after her started avoiding her. All the men who previously claimed to love her sincerely began to run away from her. Even her friend Nneka stopped associating with her often. One day, when Nneka was at Onye's house, Onye asked her, "You don't visit me as often anymore. Is it because I have gotten fat? Is it because I am no longer beautiful?" But Nneka outrightly told Onye she was too fat to be her friend. "You are too fat, Onye. No man would approach me if they always see us together. Please don't be offended if you can't see me often anymore." But even though Onye was strangely fat, she found peace within herself and accepted her condition. She didn't hate herself or transfer aggression unduly to anyone. She loved and cherished herself while gradually doing some workouts to help her reduce her size. She tried to advise Nneka, but Nneka wouldn't listen. Nneka enjoyed the attention and gift from different men, so she didn't care about Onye anymore. It wasn't long before Nneka married a wealthy man from a neighboring village. The wedding feast was huge, and people talked about it for days. However, Onye wasn't invited because no one wanted to associate with her. Every day, her parents would yell at her and blame her for being too fat. "If you had married someone when we asked you to, you wouldn't be going through all this, and we would be living in luxury. But you were too stubborn," her father would always tell her out of anger. But Onye wasn't hurt by their words. She knew what she wanted, and she was determined to be patient until she got it. She wanted a man who would love her for her personality and not for her beauty. Instead, she felt relieved that she could now see those who truly cared about her. One fateful day, Onye was on her way to the market when she saw a significantly older man seated on the path. He appeared very thirsty and hungry. Other villagers walked past the older man as if he didn't exist. But Onye stopped before him. She had a bottle of water with her, which she gave the older man to drink, and some fruits, which she shared with him. The older man thanked Onye so much and blessed her. While Onye was returning from the market, she saw the older man on the same path again and gave him some food. Onye's kindness and generosity deeply touched the older man. As she was leaving, the older man called and asked her name. "My name is Onye," she replied. The man told her he was impressed by her benevolence and said, "Your personality has saved you all." Then he started eating the food that Onye had given him. Onye thanked the man and left, but she didn't understand what he meant when he said, "Your personality has saved you all." She dismissed the thought and went back home. Instead, she felt excellent that she could help someone in need, despite everyone in the village avoiding her. In the days that followed, Onye made two more friends because of her kindness. Their names were Ada and Oma. They weren't as beautiful as Nneka, but were compassionate and sincere. Nneka, on the other hand, was now living in wealth. Whenever she passed by Onye's house, she would always wear the best and most expensive attire and jewelry. But Onye wasn't jealous or angry at her. Instead, Onye was happy that Nneka finally got married to a wealthy man, which she had always wanted. In those times, there were rumors of a very vicious, vengeful, and nomadic king called Nkinga, who was raiding many villages, looting their treasures, raping their women, laying waste to their lands, and capturing people as his slaves. The king of Adia received a letter from Nkinga informing him that Adia would be raided. This terrified the king of Adia because its village was small and its warriors were not as mighty as Nkinga's. His chiefs advised him to run away for his life, but he insisted that he would remain and fight until his last breath. The people of Adia were informed, but before being prepared, King Nkinga and his warriors entered the village, capturing the women and children first. The warriors of Adia village tried to fight back, but when they saw that they were highly outnumbered, they surrendered to King Nkinga. All the women and children, including Oinye and the others, were gathered in the village square. But King Nkinga was a vicious and wicked king. Despite their plea for mercy, he asked his warriors to slaughter all the older men and kill the king. As the warriors brought out their cutlasses to do as instructed, a loud voice commanded them to stop. From the warriors emerged a young, handsome, and very muscular man. His name was Okoye, the son of King Nkinga. He walked up to his father and went on his knee. "My powerful and fearless father, when you stationed me as a spy in this village many weeks ago, a woman called Onye showed me unmerited kindness. Please, for her sake, spare this village," Okoye pleaded with his father. King Nkenga called Onye out from the captives and asked her to come before him immediately. Onye staggered out from the captives, tears flowing down her cheeks as she approached King Nkenga. Okoye told his father about Onye's kindness towards him when he came to spy on the villagers. Then he told his father he wanted to marry Onye and make her his queen. He pleaded with his father to spare the people of Adia and put them under his rule instead. After much thought, King Nkenga decided to grant his son's wish and spare the lives of everyone in the village, including the king. The people were so grateful to Onye for saving their life, despite how rude and harsh they were towards her because of her obesity. They realized that appearance means nothing without character. The powerful witch doctor who gave Nneka the powder, which made Onye fat, approached her and went on his knees. He confessed to his crimes and gave her a cream to rub, which would make her as beautiful as she once was. Immediately after Onye rubbed the cream, she became as beautiful and curvy as she had been. King Nkega and Okoye were astonished and mesmerized by her beauty. They got married and Onye became the queen of Adia. However, Okoye told her whether she was beautiful or fat didn't matter. He told her, I love your personality and your obesity makes no difference. Your heart is what I find most important. Oye was glad that she finally found a man who deeply and truly loved her for who she indeed was, not because of her beauty. She lived happily ever after with Okoye. Nneka eventually ran away from her husband because he was a human beater. She chose her life over the wealth and luxury which her husband offered. She regretted doing what she did to Onye and wished she had listened to her back then. Onye's friends, Ada and Oma, married high-ranking warriors in the village, and they all lived happily ever after. The moral of this story: do not compromise on your standards or be pressured to accept what you do not want because of what society says. Stick to your belief system and don't let the recent events compel you to compromise your values. Be careful of the friends you keep. Not everyone who laughs with you is happy about your progress or achievements. Envy and greed can always sneak in and push them to harm you. Be good to everyone because you never know who will be your helper. As a famous quote says, be kind to those you meet on your way up because you might still meet them on your way down. How you previously treated them will determine if they would help you back up. Please share your thoughts and lessons learned in the comment section below. Thank you.